Hello everyone. My name is Dr. P. Balraju, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, SRR, Government Arts and Science College, Karimnagar. Today we are going to discuss about nuclear and nuclear pore complex structure. Okay, and just you know that nucleus is very important cell organelle in the cell which can store and pass the genetic material information to the next generation, and also nucleus control all the cellular activities being stored genetic information. Okay, and first of all, the identification and full description of nucleus was given by Mr. Robert Brown in 1835. So here, actually, how many nuclei there for one cell? So actually, in general, there is a one nucleus per one cell, but in some special cases, special cells, there are two nuclei, more than two nuclei also there. For example, liver cells and tapetal cells. Tapetum. These two tissues have two nuclei per cell. So they are binucleate cells. In lower organisms, some of the algae and fungi. So more than two nuclei also present. It is known as polynucleate condition, sinusotic condition. We know that. And nucleus. It is a sphere or sometimes ellipsoidal in shape, fusiform in shape. Okay, and the size of the nucleus is very important to switch the cell division. Always remember that the cytonucleoplasmic ratio is very important. The volume of the cytoplasm and the volume of the nucleus. The ratio in between size of these two cytonucleoplasms. Okay, the ratio is one of the switching factor which indicates the growth of the cell. Okay, so then when there is a mismatch, when there is a misleading of nucleocytoplasmic ratio, then the cell can ready to divide, means to restore the nucleocytoplasmic ratio. Okay, so the fully grown cell has some this ratio is misleading. Okay, so that's why the cell can ready to divide, right? And position of the nuclei, usually in the cell it present in center. So always in plant cells they have a large vacuole. That's why the nucleus position is always a side. Okay, a side of the cytoplasm, not in the center position. But in case of animal cells, in case of other cells, it may be in the middle of the cell. Okay, let's come to the structure of the nucleus. When we see the structure of the nucleus, we can observe there are four compartments or four parts in the nucleus. So that is, first one is nuclear envelope, second one is nuclear sap, nucleoplasm. Okay, and third one is nucleolus, fourth one chromatin network. Okay, nuclear, come to nuclear envelope. The nuclear envelope encloses the DNA. Okay, DNA, and defines the nuclear compartment. It can define the outer means compartment, which can clear cut border given by nuclear envelope. Okay, so which can separate the cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm. So here the nucleus has two membranes, double membrane structure, envelope is. So here both are the unit membrane structures. Okay, like all other plasma membranes, nucleus even though contains two outer and inner membranes, both are the unit membranes. Almost all they have uh, 80 angstrom of thickness. Okay, each one 80, 75 to 80 angstrom thickness. Okay, they can maintain bilipid layer structure like all other membranes, and more the outer and inner membrane. In between these two membranes there is something space filled with some fluid and water. So this space is called as perinuclear space. So the size of the width of the perinuclear space is 100 to 400 angstroms wide. So here these two inner and outer membranes contain, okay, nuclear pore complexes. These two are can be uh, contain the nuclear pore complexes. And moreover the inner membrane of the nucleus contains the binding sites for chromatin. Some of the proteins they act as a binding sites of chromatin and support the membrane. And moreover the inner nuclear membrane is contains some nuclear lamina proteins. Okay, it is a protein meshwork which can give the mechanical support to the inner membrane. So what I would like to say that the protein composition, the structural protein composition of inner membrane completely different from outer membrane. Okay, so inner membrane gives some binding sites to the chromatin network, and it contains nuclear lamina like mesh proteins to give strength mechanical support. Okay, whereas outer membrane has different protein composition, and it is studded with ribosomes. It is studded with ribosomes because it is continuous with the endoplasmic reticulum. The outer membrane of nucleus is continuous with the endoplasmic reticulum. That's why the outer surface of the membrane studded with ribosomes like endoplasmic reticulum also. Okay, and moreover the cytoplasm and nucleoplasm always they can be connected. They can communicate each other. They can translate they can facilitate the translation of many proteins, nucleic acids like RNA, okay, many enzymes, many other substances. They can be transported into the nucleus and from nucleus to the cytoplasm. Okay, so here the bidirectional movement of proteins including histones, DNA, RNA polymerase, enzymes, gene regulating proteins, okay, RNA processing proteins, okay. So this continuously translocate between the cytosol and nucleolus, okay. Most importantly, RNA processing proteins are selectively imported into the nuclear component. Okay, and likewise, export process is also very selective. Okay, so important export process is very selective, depending upon the time and depending upon the requirement of the nucleoplasm and cytoplasm. Many proteins and enzymes can be transported either side in either ways bidirectional. Just you see in the picture, if you see endoplasmic reticulum, which appears in green color, okay, the outer membrane of the nucleus is continuous and studded with the ribosomes, okay, and just you clearly observe here the inner membrane contains a meshwork like proteins, okay. It is known as lamina proteins, so which can give mechanical support. And moreover, these light green color threads are chromatin, so there are some chromatin binding sites, okay, like so this is nuclear pore complex which are present across the nuclear envelope connecting the inner and outer membranes, okay. And moreover, the number of nuclear pore complexes, okay, so it is a nuclear pore is a complex. What I am saying that it is a complex of proteins, okay. 50 different types of proteins participating in the structure of the nuclear pore, okay. So altogether these proteins are called as nucleoporins, okay. And more, the nuclear pore complex mass is about 125 million daltons, 125 million daltons molecular weight, okay. And moreover, the number of nuclear pore complexes, it is what we can say that relatively which can it can related to the activeness of the membrane, okay, activeness of the, which indicates active nucleus. If the greater number of nuclear pores, the nucleus is more active, so it is continuously engaging the transportation of some proteins and RNAs, ribosome subunits, okay, from cytosol to nucleus, nucleus to cytosol. That means it is very active. So it is growing cell or it is actively dividing cell. We may understand that, okay, the active nucleus nothing but it has more pore complex which can facilitate the more transportation of proteins and some other things, okay. So that's why the number of pore complexes positively related to the activeness of the pore complex. So here typically the mammalian cell, the typical mammalian cell contains about 3000 to 4000 nuclear pore complexes within the nuclear envelope, okay. And moreover, during the active synthesizing of DNA, during the active synthesis, okay, replication of DNA, about 10 to the power of 6 histone molecules can be imported into the nucleus, okay, to to form the chromosomes. The newly forming DNA can immediately associates with the histone proteins to form chromatins, okay, chromosomes. And moreover, like that, that is almost 10 to the power of 6 histone molecules per minute, sorry, total overall. And that means each and every pore has to import, okay, every pore has to transport allow 100 histone molecules per minute to reach such a adequacy, the needed histone proteins are 10 to the power of 6 histone protein molecules during the DNA synthesis to satisfy to transport the adequate number of histone protein molecules. The every pore has to allow through it more or less 100 histone molecules per minute. Okay, and moreover, during the active cell growth, okay, so the every pore has to allow, okay, 6 ribosomal subunits through it, because the growing cell has more protein synthesis. So that's why the large and smaller subunits of ribosomes can be transported through the pores. Okay, so that's why the active transportation of ribosomes also a indication. Okay, and the more pores can facilitate the more number of proteins and ribosomal units and some other enzymes can be transported during the growth and replication of the DNA. So that means such a nucleus is active nucleus, which is a growing nucleus. Okay, right? And more, in nuclear pore there are water soluble proteins. Okay, they can possibly diffuse through the nuclear pore complex. So through the nuclear pore complex, many water soluble proteins can diffuse easily by method of diffusion, and about 5,000 up to 5,000 Daltons molecular weight molecules can simply diffuse through the nuclear pores. About up to 60,000 molecular weight proteins can pass through the nuclear pore complex. Up to 60,000 kilodaltons macromolecules of proteins, okay, or subunits can pass through the pore complex. But what about a large macromolecules weighing about 1 lakh or 2 lakh molecular weight of 1 lakh 2 lakh Dalton molecular weight. So in such case, there are some specific proteins, okay, they can facilitate the import and export of these macromolecules. They cannot diffuse through the pore complex. It is not possible. Okay, up to 60,000 molecular weight proteins, okay, or some other things can pass through the pore complex, but whereas above 1 lakh, above 60,000 molecular weight macromolecules can be transported, can be imported and exported through the pore complex by some, they're called as what we can say that importins and exportins. Okay, so these specific proteins, they are called as ferrying proteins. Okay, ferrying proteins means they can import and they can export. These are two types of proteins, importins and exportins. They can ferrying the macromolecules. Ferrying means they can they can facilitate the protein translocation from cytosol to the nucleoplasm. Okay, like they can act like a carrier proteins. They act like a carrier proteins. Okay, so there are two types, importins and exportins, right? And uh, whereas these proteins, so what kind of proteins can be imported into the nucleus? There must be some signal. So at a C terminal of protein, C terminal of protein, mostly rich in positively charged amino acids like lysine and arginine. The protein which has to be transported into the nucleus, which is tagged, okay, which is tagged at C terminal, you know, the C terminal contains positively charged amino acids like lysine and arginine enrich, okay. So this signal is known as it is known as nuclear localization signal, NLS signal. The proteins which have NLS signal, that means positively charged amino acids, are very rich at C terminal of those proteins, can be transported into the nucleus. So this is the a signal tracking and transportation mechanism through the nuclear pore complex um, into the nucleus. Okay, if you see the structure, you know, there are, this is nuclear envelope, okay, so diffusion barrier, and there are at a nucleoplasm side, nuclear basket is there, okay, which is also a protein filaments structure, right. At opposite side, the cytoplasmic side, there are cytoplasmic filaments, they are free, they are freely floating in the cytoplasm. But whereas nucleoplasm side, there are some uh, protein filaments, they are together form a nuclear basket, okay, it can form a ring like structure, right. And moreover, the nucleoporins means I already told you 50 different types of proteins can involve in the nucleopore structure, they are called as nucleoporins, okay. So they can form a octamer structure, okay, octa-dimensional structure, right. So which has some what we can say that cytoplasmic ring, nuclear ring, okay, and middle ring, okay, I can show you, right, okay, okay, lamins, and this is chromatin binds at the inner membrane of the nuclear, chromatin binding sites, okay, I told you, amarin, okay, laminins, these are the chromatin binding sites, right. So if you see here, it is the typical nuclear pore complex structure, right. In the central blue color, a central region, it is a pore which can act as a channel, okay. So it has nuclear ring towards nucleoplasm, and cytoplasmic ring towards the cytoplasm, right. And in between these two, there is a luminal ring, okay, laminal ring, right. And moreover, there are eight spokes connecting the nuclear ring and cytoplasmic ring, okay. So there are some spoke like structures, okay, and inner spoke, the channel has also contains inner spoke ring. So here all the spokes, the eight spokes connect the cytoplasmic ring and nucleoplasmic ring, inner spoke ring, and luminal ring. So these four rings are connected by spokes of nuclear pore complex. Okay, they are in purple color. Just you clearly see here, and so the last nucleoplasmic side, there are nuclear basket spokes. They are connected with the terminal ring towards the uh, nucleoplasm. Okay, and there are brown color, they are cytoplasmic filaments. So this is a critical typical nucleopore complex, right, which can facilitate the bidirectional movement of proteins, okay, and ribosomal subunits and RNA, right, and many other enzymes in actively growing nucleus. Okay, so this is the about nucleopore complex structure. Okay, so this is a clear cut diagrammatic view, right? Just you can come to easy understanding. Look at this by look at this picture, right? So this is overall chromatin, okay, and here a nuclear lamina, right? So which can give some mechanical support. This is chromatin, which can bound to the nuclear envelope inner membrane, and this is nuclear pore complex. It is a maximized view, right? So this is a clear cut nice picture, right? And thank you very much.